What's up, y'all? It's your boy G, San Francisco Bay Area, California. Aloha. In this video, we're going to be talking about rebuilding your credit after a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. We're also going to be talking about improving your credit score from a 500 to a 700 plus after 1 year. All right, guys, so why is it important to build your credit? Credit is basically like your signature. It is like your fingerprint. It is uniquely yours. It does change a little bit here and there. It ebbs and flows. However, it belongs to you. It stays with you for the rest of your life. So that's why it's important to make sure that you are in good financial standing with your credit, because you can't get rid of it. It's not like a phone number or an apartment or something like that where you could just switch it up. It stays with you for life, right? So all the things that are common with prosperity and financial success, your living situation, a house, apartment, your job, might even require a credit check. In order to purchase some businesses like a franchise, you would need credit. All of those things are linked to having good credit. Could you have prosperity and be content with not having all those things? Well, of course, but just think about it. Would you really be comfortable, right? Would you be comfortable without a car, right? How would you get to work without a car? And if you did have a car to get to work and you didn't have a place to stay, like an apartment or house, would you feel comfortable staying in your car, right? So you got to ask yourself these things. And most importantly, is that the quickest way to financial freedom? And does it create generational wealth? Okay, so think about that. So according to most financial institutions that give you funding, a 720 would be considered a decent score. Now, that really depends on the institution that you go to. However, once you get to the 720s, 730s, and 40s, you could pretty much get whatever you want. Of course, people are going to be shooting for the 800 club, but the fact is, a lot of times the outcome is the same. You can get the same interest rates that you would get in the 800 club that you get having a 720. I do know that for a mortgage, you would need at least a 620. That's pretty much the range as far as, what you would be shooting for with rebuilding your credit. So what I'm going to do is quickly show my credit history and give you an idea of what to expect when you are trying to rebuild your credit from a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If you look here, you'll see that in 2019, I had an 824 credit score. Okay, and I've had that for about 15 years. I've had it for quite a while. And I was able to get whatever I wanted, with that score. I was perfectly content with what I had, and that was it. As everyone knows, I did go through a bankruptcy. I filed for bankruptcy in December 2020, and it was discharged May 2021. So as you can see here on the next chart, that my credit score went down to 570 after my bankruptcy. So it went down significantly, actually. So yeah, from that moment, May 2021, up until November 2022, you start seeing that my credit score started to get beyond 700. So it took me approximately a year and a half in order to get my score past 700. I did make some mistakes along the way. That's why I'm creating this video, so that if you follow the steps exactly how I have them outlined, you won't make the same mistakes that I would make, and you would actually be able to reach the 700 plus club slightly before I would within about a year, okay? So my credit score right now is around 730. In some credit bureaus, it's higher, and some bureaus, it's lower. And it's going up about 1 point every single month. And that's because of the consistency that I'm applying with all of the steps that I'm going to go over with you in just a moment. However, I'm expecting it to be up to about 750 in the middle of 2025. So let me make this clear. I am an advocate for no debt programs such as Dave Ramsey's Money Makeover. I respect Dave. I think he's really good at what he does. However, I also advocate for responsibly using your credit and using it to acquire other assets such as cash flowing assets or assets that increase your net worth. And let's just be honest, credit is more valuable to certain demographics, okay? You got people like me. I don't have any privileges. I don't have any nice boobs. I don't have blonde hair. I don't have blue eyes. I don't have special privileges. So my credit a lot of times precedes me when I present myself to financial institutions for funding. For example, in my 20s, when I used to try to look for apartments, I would walk into the leasing office and I would ask them for an application for one of their apartments. And they would just take one look at me and they would say, to themselves, we really don't want this gentleman here at this location. Look at his tattoos. Look at the jewelry he's wearing. Look at his hair, right? And then they make a decision, hey, I don't think this place is in your budget. Have you tried, like a couple miles down the street to the budget in apartments? They're having a special right now. And then when they run your credit and it's like 820 something, right? All of a sudden it's, oh, Mr. G, we have plenty apartments available to you. What do you want? 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom? Do you want a patio or do you want a deck or a balcony? We got some good deals for you. The first month is free. We just want to help you. By the way, my name is Sam. Good to meet you. Right? And it's the same thing when you go to a car dealership, right? You go there looking for a particular car. They'll tell you, hey, look, I don't think our cars are within your budget. You want to go down the street to the budget place and they'll have a deal for you where you can get a tax return deal, right? If you go in there with an 820 credit score, did you wanted a Honda or a Camry? Did you want leather seats or did you want something a little nicer? We get you a great deal. My name is Sam, by the way, and it's a pleasure to meet you, right? The treatment will be night and day depending on your credit worthiness, right? Because I can't go in and just look the part. I have to have something that precedes me, like my credit, in order to represent me when I go into these places. It's just reality. I'm sorry. This is why, as far as the Dave Ramsey plan, I would have to use what parts apply to me and remove all the parts that don't. Because someone like Dave Ramsey would have no idea of the type of things that I've been through. He would have no clue what I've experienced. He doesn't know those challenges. I do. And that's why I'm telling you that in a lot of instances, credit will work in your favor. It is up to you to be responsible to use it correctly. A lot of people don't know this, but credit building is counterintuitive. That means it contradicts common sense. If you are a drug addict, in order to recover, you wouldn't go to the same locations. You wouldn't hang out with the same people. Same with gambling. If you had a gambling addiction, you would stay out of the casinos and you would stay off of online betting. It's different for credit building. When you're trying to rebuild, you need to get as much credit as possible and as soon as possible. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. The same thing that got you in trouble is what you have to get more of. You just have to be more responsible with it this time around. I want to go over the key factors that you have to pay attention to when rebuilding your credit. And there are 5 things that you need to focus on. So the first factor that's affecting your credit would be your payment history, which is about 35%. The second would be amounts owed, which is also called the utilization rate, which is going to be about 30%. The third one will be your length of credit history, which is about 15%. The fourth would be new credit, which is about 10%. And the last fifth would be types of credit in use, which is also 10%. So the first thing that you want to do in order to rebuild your credit, this is step 1. And understand that this would only apply to about 10% of us. The first step is to find someone that has good credit and that has a long credit history and ask that person if they could allow you to be a user on their account. Of course, you're not going to use their credit and you have to convince them of that, because as soon as you ask that, they're going to immediately think that you're asking for permission to use their credit cards, and you're not. You're just on their account as an authorized user, okay? And the reason why this is extremely difficult to acquire is because For most of us, our inner circles are not people that have great credit, which is exactly why we're in the predicament that we're in, because we don't hang out with people that have good financial sense, good financial education, and we're just birds of a feather and we're doing the exact same thing that they do. So a lot of times we just don't have those resources and we can't just find someone that has great credit. If you can, that's great. But for the rest of us, the other 90%, you would want to move on to step 2. Step 2 is apply for a secured card. As soon as you get the discharge the next day, you're going to apply for a secured card. And what a secured card is, it's a card where you would put a deposit down, maybe $200, $300, $400, $500, and that bank holds your money for you. And then when you're ready to charge the card, you're actually just using your own money. And then when you make payments every month, you're just paying yourself back. And the credit bureaus report on that. Now, there's a couple of cards that I used in the beginning, and they're actually really good cards. We have the Self card, and we have the Chime card. And then also you want to make sure that when you get these cards, you want to place these cards in what's called auto pay. And that way you will never have a late payment, because once you start making late payments, you basically disqualify yourself for other features of the card, like credit line increases. You also want to keep your utilization about 10% or less. And when you do make a payment, you want to pay it off as soon as possible. You don't want to wait till the due date. I would just pay it off immediately. So, if you're using your card on Monday, pay it off Tuesday, Wednesday, if you can. Also, what you want to do is include some installment accounts. Basically, accounts that you're paying on every month, such as utility bills or buying furniture or something like that. Reoccurring installment payments. And there's 3 places that I know of that would do, well, actually 4. We have one that's called Rent Ready. So you're able to report your rent. We have Self, which actually is a card that I previously mentioned. They also have the ability to report back to the credit bureaus if you're paying on your bills. eCredible, you could use that one. And Acima. These are all accounts that you could use as far as installment payments. Step 3, approximately 6 months after your discharge date, apply for an unsecured credit card. That is basically the credit card that most people carry today. It's one in which you don't need any type of collateral. You just get the card and it is instant credit. You pay it back every month. Get one that doesn't have annual fees, because this is the card that you're going to be keeping for a relatively long time. I'm talking 5 to 10 years. These cards are going to have a ridiculous APR, and that's fine because you just filed for bankruptcy. So they're going to have a high APR. That's normal, right? So we're not going to worry too much about that. We're going to pay before the due date anyway, so we're not really concerned with that. Just like the last one, you want to put this one on auto pay. There are some credit cards that I would like to suggest. The cards that I use specifically: Open Sky, Merrick, Mercury, and Upgrade, which Upgrade is actually how it shows up on your credit report is a loan. So it's a good card to have if you're trying to diversify your credit lines. In order to build your credit up, financial institutions would need to see that you have varied lines of credit, not just one particular line of credit. Okay. Step 4, what you want to do is every 3 months from that point forward, you want to ask for a credit line increase with all of your cards. Sometimes they'll give you the increase and sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll say, check your email, and in the email, there may be an offer for a credit line increase. Either way, you still want to call every 3 months just to ask. And step number 5, after about 2 to 3 years, you want to get in contact with a credit repair specialist. And what a specialist is going to do is use their resources to see if they can completely remove the bankruptcy from your record. Some of them would want you to wait 2 to 3 years, and some of them might be able to do it immediately. It really depends, but you want to ask them to see exactly what are the details of their services and what they can assist you with. If you're able to remove that bankruptcy completely from your record, it's going to raise your credit report probably about 40 to 50 points if you're able to do that. But like I said, they may not be able to do it immediately. You may have to wait 3, 4, 5 years in order for them to even attempt to do that. So that is the final step that you want to do in order to repair your credit. Follow these steps that I have outlined for you, and I can assure you that you will go from a 500 score up into a 700 plus within 1 year. And you can raise your score to 750 plus in about 3 to 4 years. Be consistent with making timely payments, keep your credit utilization low, and continue to ask for credit line increases. That'll help you out tremendously. Like I said, I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I'm telling you what the game is so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. Okay? All right. That is the hustle. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be blessed. It's your boy G. Aloha. If this video was of value to you, like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, it's your boy G. Be blessed. I'll holler at you later. Aloha.